And we're live. So this stream is just going to be a quick tutorial stream. It's going to be about 10 minutes I'm shooting for. But basically I wanted to teach the basics of the software that I use so that anyone else that's wanting to get into composing or audio production can get into it as well. So I'm streaming it so that if there's any questions I can answer those as soon as possible. And we'll just jump right in. So basically FL is all about obviously making sound, and one of the first things that you need to make sound is an instrument or a sound clip. So there's a folder over here that I have in the directory called downloads. It's where all my downloads are. But if you were trying to make an actually that should be easy enough. So they have folders that you can set up your directories to, and then you choose what file you would want. So let's say clock ticking sound. So I'm going to go in here. You see how I just dragged it onto the playlist. I'm going to check my levels on that quick. Okay, so yeah, I just dragged it over. The next thing you're going to want to be aware of is the mixer. This is the mixer. What it does is it allows you to organize your sounds and add effects to them. So you click on the sound. This is the same sound. You can see I reverse it. I can normalize it, which means if the sound was very quiet, it'll bring it to 0 decibels, which is up here and down here. But it's already very loud, so we do not need that. You can mess with the pitch. You can make it shorter, longer. And all these things can be well, I guess those can't, but most things can be routed so that you can change the parameters as the song's playing. Like this. You can change the pitch. If actually okay, let's try this again. The mode has to be a certain mode for that to work. There we go. And this is the range, so it tells you how long it's changing. I guess every time I change the range, it resets the pitch. So be aware of that if you ever are using that. Let's see if there's any questions. No questions. Okay. So next, write the mixer. So you choose the sound, you make sure it's selected, then you right click, go to channel routing. We're going to route that channel to this mixer channel. So now you can change volume, which you could still do here, but now for every single one of these inserts you have an effects rack, which you can add things like reverb. And every one of these is you can change these variables as the song's playing, so you can see them as they're changing. Pretty cool. So next, you can even change how like the percentage of the effect, and you can change whether it's just toggling on or off, like a Boolean variable. And you can replace them. This is a delay. It's different than a reverb, because a reverb is just it's simulating it being in a space, whereas delay is creating an echo of the sound, or a copy of it. It can be often confused with the echo or the reverb, because it gives like a similar effect sometimes. and you can even pan where the echoes go. And that's ping pong mode, which means it goes from left to right. But yeah, that's that. That's the master channel. This one is different. Every piece of audio that comes through here, let's get another sound. And we're going to route it to this one. So now we have 2. But both of those pieces of audio are being fed to the master channel. And you can put effects on the master channel because it's an insert like all these other ones. But the effects that you put on the master channel will affect the sound of everything. So if I put reverb on the master channel, it will put reverb on both of these sounds. I'm sure you could see how that could be helpful in many circumstances. Let's see, what do we have on time? 6 minutes, okay, we're doing great. So, another thing, what else? Right, piano roll. Alright, let's say you're trying to write a song, you're not just trying to edit clips. Speaking of edit clips, they have tools here so that you can edit sound clips. There's a grid, so you can move it off the grid, or you can have it very grid-based. And then they have, also you can copy these every time you left click. There's this tool which moves the sound in the file, so you could do things like that. No matter what tool you're using, if you go to the edge of the clip, you can shorten it or lengthen it, depending if there's something there to lengthen or shorten. This tool will come very handy. This allows you to cut anywhere, and then you go back to the drawing tool and you can remove it. So you can do things like that. Or just do that if you wanted that. So yeah, these two are going to be very helpful if you're a sound editor. Next is instruments, so if you're writing a song. Now, one way to write music is by using sound fonts, and that's just a folder of instruments from either a game, or you can buy sound fonts. Most of the sound fonts I use are sound fonts from video games that I liked. So if you go to sound fonts, I have all my sound fonts here. You can see this one's not from a video game, it's from just a sound font pack that I got for free. And it's got violins in it, it's got flutes, oboes, horns, basically, you know, orchestral instruments. So we're going to get some strings. And you're going to want to bring it right here because this is where you keep your sounds and your instruments, like I said before. Now we're going to route that to our third mixer channel. I'm going to turn the other two all the way to 0. And then if you press play right now, which is the space button, it's not going to play anything because there's nothing in the playlist. You have to grab onto the instrument you want. Make sure that you are in an empty pattern. Oh. Okay, there we go. Make sure you're in an empty pattern because patterns are like ideas. So, it's very loud. Okay, so pattern 1 we'll say is this idea. Thank you. So the whole reasoning for patterns is because you're going to want to have more than one musical idea for your songs, obviously, so that's why they gave you these patterns. Patterns can have multiple. Also, if you want a second thing of strings, you can right click and go to clone, and there you go, you can write maybe a bass part with those strings. Although this is a violin, you're probably not going to want to write a bass part for a violin. So yeah, that would be pattern 1. It's going to hold all this information. That sounds terrible, but that's okay, I wasn't trying to write. it's a little better. Although these violins sound like butt cheeks. So, like I just did, you can drag over an instrument and it will automatically change to that one. So that's pattern 2. You can also clone patterns. So let's say I want to clone the pattern. It's now pattern 2, and then I click on the playlist. This is a completely different pattern. So if I change something in this one, take out that, it'll stay true for pattern 2, but for pattern 1, since we cloned it earlier, will be completely unique to itself. And if you right click on a pattern and you go to make unique, it will do exactly as it says and make it unique. So it's not pattern 2 anymore, it's pattern 3, and you can edit pattern 3 as if it's a different idea in your song. So, and you can see that all of these are on track 13, which is our mixer channel right here. So they're all going to end up on this mixer channel, so you can add effects to them. If you're writing a song, oftentimes it can be nice to have reverb for the entire track. So if you are saying, let's say it's an orchestral song, you're going to want to add a bunch of reverb. And instead of just adding reverb to each and every one of these instruments down here, you just go to the master channel and add it. That way you can have it for every new instrument that you have. You see I have different parameters here for like room size, low cut. That's how that's if you're taking enough bass out of the reverb. And yeah, so that kind of covers instruments. What else would I do? Still no questions? It's fine. Panning. Panning can also be done through the mixer. This little knob above the volume fader is responsible for panning. So if you want to pan your instrument left, or right, or far right, you can do that there. Last thing I'm going to touch on for this video is these EQ things. These are on each and every channel. So if I do this, it's going to take the bass out of those instruments. If I do this, it's going to take the treble out. If I do this, it's going to take the mids out. So only the lows and the highs remain. And there's an extra parameter right here to make how narrow or wide you want the effect to be over the frequency spectrum. Or you can boost it. But yeah, that's the basics. So I hope this was helpful. I tried to go over what everyone might be using the software for, so for writing music or for editing sound, for making like remixes or anything of that sort. Drums, I'll probably cover drums next in the next stream, but I hope that this was helpful, and if you were on the fence about trying the software, hopefully this gets you starting to think about it more now that you have a better idea of how to use them. So thank you guys for checking out the stream, those of you that did, and I'll see you guys in the next one.